This next piece is Jingle Bells, and you might be surprised to learn that Jingle Bells is actually not a Christmas tune, but it was originally a piece composed for Thanksgiving. The primary reason for studying Jingle Bells is to become comfortable with a new bow stroke called martelé. If you look at the quarter notes in Jingle Bells, they all have a dot on top of them. This dot is a staccato dot. It just means short or separated. However, with the bow on the violin, we're capable of creating many different kinds of articulation, and one of the most important kinds of articulation to find is called martelé, which means hammered. Now, the way that we'll find this martelé stroke is we'll place the bow on the string, and then I'll slightly pinch the string with my first finger and thumb, not all the way down, but just a little pinch, so I have a grip on the string before I start moving. Now, if I were to keep this pinch present during my bow stroke, it's going to sound quite pressed and not too nice. Yeah, that's not what we're looking for. However, if I start with my pinch and then release the bow stroke, I end up with a bow stroke that has a nice t sound at the beginning, followed by ah. Ta, ta. That's the bow stroke that we're looking for. This martelé bow stroke pinches, releases, and stops. Pinches, releases, and stops. And this is a perfect bow stroke for Jingle Bells. So in Jingle Bells, all of the notes with dots on top of them will play with martelé. Now, some of the other notes in this piece have a dash on top of them. That's called a Tenuto line. For the most part in violin playing, notes indicated tenuto will not have a t start. They won't have a heavy articulation at the beginning of the note. Now, that tenuto dash can mean a couple of other things, but we'll talk about that much later. I ask for some special techniques in my arrangement of Jingle Bells. For instance, you'll see a little plus sign over the E, and in most classical music this means that the note with the plus sign over it will be played with a left-hand pizzicato. And now you might be wondering, what do I do with my bow at this point? And I think the easiest thing to do with the bow is to windshield wiper out with your wrist and then come back. Make sense? At the end of the piece, you'll see this indication 0-4 quite a bit in violin playing, and this means that we're going to play a natural harmonic. This natural harmonic is going to occur somewhere other than first position where you're comfortable playing. The location of this natural harmonic is exactly halfway up the A string. And the easiest way to find this is to bring up your hand to the upper bout of the violin, straight finger, fourth finger, that's about halfway. Now, instead of pushing down on the string to the fingerboard, I'm going to barely touch the string, really gliding on top of it. No problem. practice finding the halfway point on your string. If you need to, you could even put a little sticker there, but honestly, you can see it pretty easily visually. Where is halfway up the string? Okay, so the last two measures of the piece. That natural harmonic sound is pretty interesting. I think a lot of musicians equate that with being more flute-like or bell-like. Now, sometimes we'll have to decide to retake the bow, perform a bow circle, even when it's not indicated in the music. We'll have to use our best judgment to figure out where those moments might be. For instance, in Jingle Bell, wherever there's a half-note rest, that could be a good opportunity to perform a bow retake. So look, that's obviously a lot to think about in Jingle Bells, right? We've got martelé bow strokes, tenuto markings, left-hand pizzicato, bow retakes, and also a harmonic about halfway up the string. Well, how are you going to remember to do all of those things? I think at this point it still makes a lot of sense to go through a piece like this one measure at a time. Break the piece up into chunks of one measure at a time, master those small chunks, and then start putting them back together. Maybe you'll try playing 3 or 4 measures at a time, and then the whole piece. No one has ever mastered playing the violin or mastered any piece simply playing through again and again and again. That's going to be very, very inefficient and a waste of your time. It might seem a little slow going at first, but actually going one measure at a time, chunking through a piece, is going to be much more efficient in the long run.